Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of Talk Exchange. Today's guest is Austin Seeley, who is the Destination Services Manager with Louisville Tourism. As you know, this year's national convention is in Louisville, and so Austin goes into a lot of detail about what we can expect with our time down there this year. Everything from the food with the famous Kentucky hot brown and fried chicken, different types of cheeses, all the way over to the very famous Bourbon Trail, and even some details on how to find those speakeasies. So it's a fun episode. Again, if you're going to be heading to convention, this is one episode you do not want to miss. So we hope you enjoy this one, and we'll see you again next week, and hopefully also at convention.
Welcome to Talk Exchange. I'm Tracey Edwards, CEO of the National Exchange Club.
And I'm Kristie Lindahl, Director of Communications.
Hi, Kristie.
Hey, Tracey.
Hey, today's a fun one. I know we say that a lot, but I was thinking on the way to the podcast studio about the time in the year when people think about their summer vacations, their summer trips, and that's so exciting. And our members and we think about our national convention, which is upcoming, and it's exciting to go to a different destination every year.
Yeah, it is. And we get to take our leaders earlier in the year to experience the city. We do a leadership training, which is very valuable. And hopefully they go back and talk about the city and the hotel and some of the exciting things to do.
Yeah, well, this city that we were visiting in March honestly had the most positive, enthusiastic feedback of any I think we've been to.
I agree. The hotel is amazing.
Yes.
The staff is amazing. The food was great. The city, there's so much to see.
That's for sure. We had such a great time. So today we are excited to have with us the awesome Austin Seeley, the Destination Services Manager from Louisville Tourism. Welcome, Austin.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for making
joining
time.
us. And Austin, thank you. You gave our attendees such an awesome experience in March and did that fun walking tour to show how easy it is to walk from the Galt House and see so many cool sights. It's always good when you end with a bourbon tasting room tour, though. That was super fun. So glad to have you with us. So first, I know we want to thank you for this successful and fun event in March. And then we're excited to welcome everybody again in July. Hopefully we have 600-700 or more people coming with us this time. So that'll be fun. So first, tell us the question everybody always wants to know, because as a northern girl, even though I'm married from a guy who's actually from Louisville, this northern girl still wants to go to Louisville, and everybody corrects me. So
I pronounce vowels too.
I just, I like to pronounce everything. So
really what you need is to have a little bourbon in your mouth and then say it.
Oh.
That's right.
Okay, so tell us how we should pronounce it.
So in general, we will accept anything but Louisville. So the S has
Mark's safe on that one.
Accept it, but if you put the S in it, somebody might throw their bourbon in your face, which could be a good or a bad thing.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll accept anything but Louisville.
Okay.
But most locals put it more back in their throat as if they have some bourbon in their mouth and put more of the Louisville. Yeah, more in the throat. But again, anything but Louisville.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That's the big no-no. That's very, very big no-no.
I can get that. Well, you have such a fun job, and you're the perfect person for the job. You usually have a nice coffee with you, I know, and so
great smile.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so we appreciate your enthusiasm and can't wait to see you again in July. So tell us first, Austin, what makes Louisville such a unique and appealing place to visit for people?
Well, Louisville is it's got a lot to offer that people don't often think about. Specifically some of our museums. Yes, you all, as you can see kind of in the background, Churchill Downs is a big thing for us, but there's just a lot of smaller things that people just that don't often think about it. Louisville Slugger, Muhammad Ali is from here. Obviously we're very much known for our bourbon and Churchill Downs, but yeah, it's just, you kind of get a little different experience than what you're going to get in other cities. We don't have a major sports team, but we have everything else that just people don't often think about. So, and the most northern southern city. So,
Oh.
we got the southern hospitality, but we're still kind of, Midwesty. So yeah, it's great. Louisville's an awesome place.
Well, it is, and we'll be right on the water. And I know one thing that attracted us to Louisville in particular was because it's drivable to 60% of the country, easily drivable.
Yeah.
So that should increase attendance. And I'm sure I know you have a lot of conventions and meetings in Louisville for that reason, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we're, like you said, 60% of America can travel. It's a easy drive here. We're, surrounded by a lot of major cities. So Chicago is about a 5-hour drive or a 45-minute flight. Obviously, cities in Ohio, very, very close to us. St. Louis, Nashville's only a couple and a half hours south of us. So we're just very centrally, easily located. Our airport, super easy to get in and out of. Most likely you will have a layover unless you're coming from a major hub like an Atlanta or a Chicago or a DC. But outside of that, it's just super accessible. I mean, I guess you could get on the river and, ride a boat down depending on where you're from.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Could be fun, but I don't know that I recommend it because I've never done it. So
Right.
It's an idea, though.
But yeah.
Well, good. Well, we heard a lot about the flooding situation. And of course, we kept in touch with our friends at the Galt House and checked on people and just wanted to check in to see how are you all doing? How's the recovery been? Did you recover in time to host, it looked like a successful Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, so we had to make some slight adjustments to some of our typical Derby plans. 2 weeks, it happened about 3 weeks before we got all the rain. And then it just kept going as the rain kept going more northeast. All that hit the river and just kept going. So we had some pretty rough flooding. It was like our highest since I want to say like 96. So it was, not ideal, but it ended up being great. Like I said, we had to cancel one of our main things that happens 2 weeks prior to Derby. Which is called Thunder over Louisville. So it's one of the largest fireworks shows in America, and there's an air show all day through it. But we did have to unfortunately cancel that. But then the water went away, and we're back to normal. And now we're still in some of the cleaning efforts, but the local community went, volunteered immensely to help clean up, just debris that naturally flows down the river, and so. We're back to normal. We're ready to go, and everything since has been great. And like you said, yeah, the Kentucky Derby was a huge success. It was a very rainy Kentucky Derby.
I was going to say, the skies opened up for you again.
Yeah. So, between rain and everything else, it's just, we've had some weather this year, but we're in a good spot. We're in a good spot.
Well, we can expect some beautiful greenery then.
You're right.
Right?
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah. So what is it other than the drivability? What do you think it is that makes Louisville such a great city for hosting events?
Well, how close in proximity everything is. Our downtown convention center and all of our hotels are, within a couple minutes of a walking distance. But then you also are getting to experience everything else. So you get to see the Muhammad Ali Center. Louisville Slugger is a couple blocks away, specifically from your guys' hotel. Really everything is kind of centrally located in the city, with the exception of Churchill Downs, but that's about a 10 to 12 minute drive from downtown. So everything is right there. There's some authentic experiences, like I said, kind of at the beginning, that you're not going to get in other cities.
Yeah.
You can go to a whiskey or bourbon distillery somewhere else, but it's not going to be Kentucky bourbon. So, but everything else, like I said, everything is in such close proximity. And there's just some really cool experiences that, people just won't see in literally any other city.
And what's the name of that sandwich?
Well, I was just going to say that Kentucky hot brown is a must eat. What else should people eat when they come to Louisville?
Well, if you're in Kentucky, you've got to have some Kentucky Fried Chicken. So
yes,
and yes, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the organization, is here. But just in general, fried chicken everywhere is great. There's a couple other things like our pimento cheese is always
Ooh,
outstanding. You'll probably
Yum.
find it at any restaurant in the city, as well as different versions of those different things. So, there's a couple restaurants that have like hot brown tater tots instead of just a
ooh.
traditional hot brown.
Ooh.
So y'all have to come try a hot brown, especially after it's great after you have a little bit of bourbon in your system.
Oh, we
There's
didn't
a
have
theme
that.
here.
That is true. So we went when we were there in March to the Brown Hotel,
Mhm.
the place where the Kentucky Hot Brown originated, right?
Yeah,
So we had the
yeah.
authentic, and that's what we recommend.
Yes.
That's such a charming place, the Brown Hotel, and they have a fantastic gift shop.
I was going to say that gift shop was so
Amazing.
cool.
Yeah, it's over 100. We celebrated its 100-year anniversary, I want to say a year or two ago. And yeah, it's just, again, another authentic thing that you're not going to experience. There's always going to be some classic and cool hotels and older spots, but they don't have the hot brown. So you're kind of
That's
missing out.
Got to get it there.
Yeah.
Good. So talk about 4th Street Live. I know that's just down the street from the Galt House, a great place for people, who are visiting, especially our convention, to go down and take in some entertainment, some food. What's going on in that area?
Yeah, so you guys are at the Galt House, which is two properties or two buildings on
Mhm.
one property. And it is the 4th Street runs right through it. So just going up or down the street a couple blocks, be about 3 or 4 blocks up from the Galt House is one of our entertainment districts. So you're gonna see some restaurants. In the summer they have concert series and different things around. So you have to get on our events calendar, check out, see what other concerts or shows or festivals are going on. We always have a million different things happening in the city. So there is a events calendar on our Go to Louisville website. So you guys will have to check it out and see what else is down there. But there's always something.
And
I'm telling you,
that
always something.
URL is go to Louisville. Is that it?
.com.
All
I
right,
like
.com.
that.
Perfect.
Okay, good. Good place
Yeah,
to
so
send
that
people
kind of
for sure.
Yeah, it houses everything. So our local partners give us, information that they might have on different events they're running, or things that the city specifically is doing, as well as what our organization is doing. So yeah, there's always a list of different events and concerts and fun things to do.
Cool. We'll look forward to that.
I know.
So, of course, the bourbon tasting rooms are a big thing, and a lot of our members have talked about wanting to do the bourbon trail. So, we did look into putting together a bourbon trail experience, but of course, the transportation is so expensive, right? Getting the bus and getting people out there. So, but then when we contacted a couple of the bourbon rooms, they said, well, you're right in downtown. You can just do that walkable. So
Yeah.
tell us how we do that. Like there's plenty of bourbon tasting rooms right
Yeah.
there, walkable to the Galt House.
Correct. Yeah. So we have quite a handful of different bourbon distilleries downtown. Some of them are maybe not the full distillery because they have, a more larger footprint out in the countryside where they can have their rick houses and everything. But yeah, there's quite a few within a couple-minute walk. There's, a couple down the opposite side from Galt House that is probably a 15-minute walk or a 3-minute Uber ride. So there's plenty of different distilleries kind of all through Main Street, which you guys are at the corner of 4th and Main. So bunch of different options. Some just have bars that you can walk in and just do a tasting, which is kind of what we did when you guys were here in March. You just walk in, there's a bar setting, you can taste their bourbon, or you can schedule ahead and do some of the actual experiences, which are awesome. And very, very
Sweet.
cool.
Now, we were talking right before we started recording about the speakeasies and how many of our members
Yes.
love speakeasies.
Yes.
Yes,
You
there are
want to
quite
fill
a
them
few.
in?
Yeah, there are quite a few. There's one called Hell or High Water. Probably should get some reservations yesterday.
Okay.
Oh.
Definitely look into it. Definitely see what they have available. It's a very cool one. But there's also some within some of the hotels, so you kind of have to do a
Ooh.
little research maybe and see what's around. But yeah, there's plenty of different little smaller speakeasies. There's some within some of the bourbon experiences, like Evan Williams has a little speakeasy down in their
Cool.
basement. which, takes it way back to their indoor space is just kind of like you walked into, something during Prohibition.
Oh,
And
cool. What's that called
Yeah.
again?
that one's at Evan Williams,
Evan
but
Williams.
Hell or High Water, which is right around it as well, is a really cool experience as well.
Great. Wow.
I know. So
Add that to the list, and I bet we could go down a TikTok rabbit hole to take us
Well, for
Start
through
some
all the
sleuthing.
speakeasy.
Mhm.
Good. So you talked about for people without a car, just how easy it is to walk. Take us on a virtual walking tour. Like they leave the Galt House, and where should they go?
Yeah, so once you leave the Galt House, you can, like I said, either head straight down. You're gonna come to 4th Street Live, which is kind of the end of kind of our downtown district area. So you're gonna pass a couple restaurants, a gaming center, so slot machines, and our convention center, but then some restaurants, some other hotels, and then you're at 4th Street Live. So that's kind of straight ahead as you exit the Galt House. But then once you get on Main Street, you can either take a left, which will take you to a couple other restaurants, distilleries, a couple shops, or you could take a right, and then you kind of hit kind of what we call our museum row. So within Museum Row, like as always, there's bourbon distilleries, but you'll pass the Muhammad Ali Center. Muhammad Ali was born here, and so they have a whole center. Like I said, it's actually like a block away, less than a block away from the Galt House, but has some really cool, interesting facts and history about Muhammad Ali and his legacy and everything that comes with being an Ali. But that's right there. There's a contemporary art museum. There's Slugger Museum and Bat Factory. So you can kind of see we've got our Louisville Slugger in the
Oh yeah.
but every bat that is made from Louisville Slugger is made here in Louisville. The only thing that's not are the trees, and we bring the trees in, and then we start making the bats. So
Wow.
if there's an MLB player that is currently playing that has a Louisville Slugger, they have a contract with Louisville Slugger, and that bat is made in our factory, which is in the heart of downtown Louisville. So
That's so cool.
there's a lot of history there as well. They have a little bat, a vault of all the different kind of bats that are, super, super well-known MLB players. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know baseball very well, but
Right.
very cool experience. And then as you get kind of to the end of Main Street in the downtown corridor, there's Fraser History Museum, which is kind of a little bit of history of everything. They have a whole floor of bourbon history and kind of why it's made in Louisville or why it's made in Kentucky, what makes it special, a floor about different things made in the state or famous people from the state, and then a whole floor that they have kind of a moving couple of exhibits. So that could be different by the time you get here. I'm not sure what their exhibit schedule is, but yeah, just kind of get a full taste of history all through Main Street. And then a little side note about Main Street is all of the facades of the buildings are not allowed to be torn down or demolished or anything like that. So it, is that authentic taste of history that we've had, for
Wow.
however many years. So it's a really cool thing. And just to kind of see, and you look at them and you realize that they are kind of, oh, that's from a time way before now. So it's, it gives you a little bit of that history, but also some cool experiences.
Sure.
Lots to do right there, and that's, you talked about Louisville Slugger, and I hope that people experience that while they're there. I know we didn't have time to do it. We stopped outside and did a photo op with the giant bat, and that was fun. But on one of our trips, we took our son down and went through the bat factory and did the tour. I'm not a baseball fan at all, but it was so enjoyable and so interesting to see it and the whole experience. So I really hope people walk down and do that and, just spend the time there since it's right there.
Yeah.
Why not? And then you can go next door to there's a bourbon blending room right next door that they opened, and that's awesome too.
Yeah, it's called Barrels and Billets. So they make their own bourbon, but then they also can do a tasting with folks, and they kind of get to pick different flavor profiles that they they like, and then it mixes and it blends, and then you have your own bourbon. And then it also, that recipe stays with them. So then, you drink that bottle of bourbon, and a year down the road, you're like, I need another one of that. You just call them, they have their unique code, and they make it, and then you're ready to go. So it's, another different cool experience.
Perfect. Really, I like that. And I believe too, people can go to the original Kentucky Fried Chicken, the original KFC, right?
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. That's a piece of
it's a little,
history.
Yeah, it's a little farther out. The statue of Colonel Sanders is currently in the Fraser History Museum. So we used to house it in our visitor center, which is right next to downtown as well. And it or right in downtown area, and but we did some renovations, so you also have to check out our visitor center.
Yes,
very cool. A lot of gifts and cool local things. If you need a fedora or anything for a derby themed kind of thing, we've got it there.
Sweet.
Good to know. And we're bringing some of the Churchill Downs activities in-house. So we'll be doing the Kentucky Derby Party with make your own fascinator, make your own horseshoe, the racing.
Yeah.
So that'll be super fun.
Yeah, we love that.
Give everybody the whole experience, right?
The whole experience, yeah. And then, as you said, I know kind of in the beginning, like, you might want to bring your family or friends in kind of before or after. Churchill Downs is an amazing spot to see. The Kentucky Derby Museum is connected to it, and that is the full history of Churchill Downs, but also they're the official tour of Churchill Downs. So it's a really cool experience. You get to kind of see all the things Derby, pretty soon. Hopefully by July, they'll have our most recent winner of the Kentucky Derby. They always have a statue of the jockey and the horse that won. And so hopefully it'll be updated by then. I'm not sure how long it takes for them to flip it over for the new one, but yeah, it's a very cool thing. And they just did a really cool new video in their 360 room. So they just updated it. It was released at the end of April, right before the most recent Kentucky Derby. So
awesome.
That is awesome. I really hope people bring their kids and their families because it's such a kid-friendly town with a lot to do for the family.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, perfect place to do it.
And, one thing we haven't touched on is the weather.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
It's going to be lovely.
That's true.
At the beginning of July.
Yeah, so, expect some warmer weather, very... if you're from the Midwest, the weather is always kind of the same everywhere in the Midwest, it seems. But I expect some warm weather. There's some great waterfront space. I know you just talked about families, maybe going to some of the parks that are right there on the waterfront. There's a really cool walking bridge that takes you over into southern Indiana.
Nice.
Called the Big Four. So that's at the Big Four Park. And you can walk up, and it's an old train track that used to take things from Indiana all the way down to Nashville. And so
cool.
We changed it up and made it a pedestrian walking bridge, and it's really, really cool. And you can also see some of the boats taking shipments down the river, which, believe it or not, still happens in this day and age with all the technology that the world has. But it's a lovely place, and it's beautiful in the evening as well because it's all lit up in different colors and
photo opportunities.
Definitely.
Very much so. Photo opportunities, yes.
I love the idea of that walking bridge. I didn't know about that, but I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, so it's like from the bottom of it to the bottom of the Indiana side is about a mile, maybe mile and a quarter. So you get a good amount of distance while walking, but also some really cool views. So once you get, mid bridge, you're looking at the skyline of Louisville. But when you get to the bottom of the bridge in Indiana, there's some shops and restaurants and cute things over there as well. So yeah, you guys will have to check that out.
Awesome.
You got us excited to go to Louisville. I can't wait. Wow. And I hope everyone listening gets online, registers for the national convention, books their room at the Galt House. It's going to be awesome in Louisville. Thanks so much, Austin, for taking us through with such enthusiasm for your city.
Yeah.
Listen, I love it here. It's a fun, cool atmosphere. People, the locals, are great. And as always, there's plenty of bourbon to drink.
Yes.
If nothing else.
That's right.
Nothing else, you can always drink bourbon. Or a lot of them do have non-alcoholic versions of their bourbon as well. So we've seen it, a trend up in
Mm-hmm.
cocktail. And so a lot of the distilleries are starting to release non-alcoholic versions of bourbon. So
That's a whole nother conversation.
Well, that's true. Though.
I have so many questions.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because I was impressed at the bourbon tasting room that we went to had an extensive mocktail list, which a lot of people are looking for that, too. The people who aren't coming to drink, right? They can go in just to experience how this is done and then have one of the lovely mocktails as well.
yeah, most of them do that. That's, even if you don't like bourbon, I don't know why, but even if you don't like bourbon, getting to do any of the experiences, it just shows just some really cool things. You might get to taste some of the mash before it gets turned into bourbon. So just some really cool experiences when it comes to bourbon. But again, yeah, most of them have, like you said, an extensive mocktail list that they're able to curate for folks coming to visit, and it's a really cool thing, especially as we see and the world sees a little more mocktail enthusiasm.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, this has been so much fun. There is so much to see and do and experience and taste in Louisville. So, to all of our Exchange Club members listening, I hope you definitely register and join us in Louisville. And to our friends who are not yet Exchange Club members, definitely put Louisville on your must visit list this summer. And if you'd like to know more about Exchange, please visit nationalexchangeclub.org. And thanks to our guest today, Austin Seeley from Louisville Tourism, for being such an enthusiastic and welcoming ambassador for Louisville. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Austin.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. See y'all in a few weeks.
Cannot wait. Thanks for listening to this episode of Talk Exchange. Wow, great one, Austin. You made that so easy. My gosh, you're a pro.
Till he said a few weeks.
Oh, I know.
It's coming up.